guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jamie, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking all about cult favorite makeup products that I haven't tried. Even though the beauty community is huge, I still feel like there's products that everybody has tried except me. So if you want to discuss some cult favorites that I haven't tried, let's jump right into it. I did film this makeup look. It's a super easy, like glam, cool tone look using all drugstore products. So I'll have that linked up above and down below if you want to see how I got this affordable look. But I have my list right here with my products. Let's jump into them. If you haven't tried any of these products either, let me know so I don't feel like I'm alone. And let me know which cult products you haven't tried. But the first product I'm going to talk about is the Tarte Shape Tape, which I feel like might have lost its cult status, but at one point, everybody loves Shape Tape. It's still a favorite in a lot of people's collections, but I've never tried it. I did go to Ulta a few times and I stood at the waiting to check out, and they have those minis, and they had a mini Shape Tape, and I was like, do I do it? But I think the issue with that is that Shape Tape just doesn't go with my makeup preferences. I'm not really a person that enjoys full coverage, and most of my concealers, one, are drugstore, and two are like medium at best. I sometimes like to wear concealer without anything else, and having a full coverage concealer without like foundation and the rest of your look done kind of looks out of place in my opinion. So for that reason, I haven't tried Shape Tape, and I haven't really tried many full coverage concealers in the same vein. Another concealer that I haven't tried is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. And I feel like this stood as a favorite for years, and I still hear people talk about this. I think the reason why I didn't buy this is because I first started getting into makeup when this concealer was at its peak. So when I was just learning about makeup and really learning what concealer was, I wasn't gonna buy a $30 concealer when I bought the Maybelline Fit Me, which was supposed to be a dupe instead. I don't know if they're a dupe because I've never tried the NARS one, but I really enjoy drugstore concealers. Some of my favorite concealers are the ColourPop No Filter Concealer and the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Concealer, and I really do like that Maybelline Fit Me concealer. So I'm really happy with my drugstore concealers that spending $30 on a concealer really isn't something that I look for. I'd rather spend more money on a high-end foundation, but because I don't even wear concealer every day, I tend to go for the more affordable options. Another product that I haven't tried are two eyeshadow palettes, and the first one is the Morphe 350. I haven't tried the 350, I haven't tried the 350S, the 350M, the 350 and now the 350 which is a franchise in itself. But once again, this palette came out when I was first getting into makeup, and I could barely put on mascara, let alone know what to do with 35 eyeshadows. And then when I started getting into makeup, I realized I already had enough brown shadows and I didn't really need a 35 shade palette. I've talked a lot about in other videos how I'm not really the biggest fan about big palettes. I find that a lot of the colors in these palettes look exactly the same, and I can dupe them with palettes in my collection, and a lot of the times it looks the exact same on the eyes. I wanted the 350 at like some point. I definitely did want it because everybody was talking about it, but I still wasn't an eyeshadow connoisseur. And then the 350 came out and I was like, why is this so big and so red and so similar? And now the 3503 is out and I was like, why does this look like the 350 with like 3 pops of green? So those are a series of palettes that I don't need, and like large palettes in general. Another Morphe palette that I feel like is one of their best and like standout products is the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. I did really want this, and my best friend actually picked it up, so I would share hers. But it's kind of the same issue with the Morphe 350, which the shades that I would have used were the first 3 rows, which is really pretty neutrals. And I already have really pretty neutrals. And yet it had that really pretty blue, which I think is called Pool Party, which is like that pop in the lower left-hand corner, and that green and like a purple. But realistically, it was 30 neutrals and 5 pops of colors, and I have enough neutrals, and they're also similar when you have so many shades that I can perform similar looks. I do have the Morphe 25, it's the 25A or 25B palette, which is supposed to be the same quality as Jaclyn Hill, and I like it, but it's definitely not my favorite eyeshadow palette formula. Another product that I haven't tried, which is something that I go back and forth on to this day, is the Laura Mercier Loose Translucent Setting Powder. I think the first reason why I didn't buy this is because of the price. And also, you know, as you're getting into makeup, I feel like makeup goes in gradual steps. So I started out doing my eyes. So I would do eyeshadow, and I had this little trio from CoverGirl, and it was a bronze, a gold, and like a cream. And I would wear that gold every single day. And then I got into mascara, and then I would put eyeliner just on my waterline. And then I got into foundation, but like it was a slow building process because when I got into makeup, I was in the 7th grade and YouTube was not a thing. So it's not like, oh, I want to learn makeup. Let me watch people that do makeup and learn the steps. It was like, I want to learn makeup. Let me have my parents take me to Rite Aid and I'll print out a palette that looks pretty. And like, it wasn't even a real palette. So setting powder wasn't something that I really looked for until a few years ago when I was doing like a full face and needed concealer to set it down and was wearing my makeup out and wore full coverage and lots of makeup that I wanted to keep in place. But then the powder was $32, and $32 was a lot of money. And I know going through a whole setting powder takes forever, but it's still a lot of money. Actually, I think $32 on the low end. I'll pop the price on the screen of what it actually costs, but it's an expensive powder. I also have really dry skin, so I don't even powder every day. So I'd be paying to use it a couple times a month, a couple times a year, and it's an investment. Maybe it's just me because I have tried a few setting powders and I don't feel like there's a big difference between my more affordable ones and my higher end ones. I use the number 7 Perfect Light Powder in the shade Translucent in the video where I filmed this look. And I also have the Hourglass powder in my collection. And I don't really see a big difference. So I also feel like Laura Mercier powder is one of the first powders that came out, and that's why I wanted it, but it's definitely been taken off my wish list since. A product that might surprise you that I haven't tried is the OG Beauty Blender. And I feel like that's because sponges have come such a long way. My favorite sponge is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, which needs to be washed because I just use it to film this. And it puts on my foundation fine. And I've actually found 12 packs of these, or 12 packs, 4 packs for $12 at like Marshalls and TJ Maxx. And spending $20 on a sponge that you have to throw out like every 3 or 4 months, you're spending close to $100 on a sponge a year. And that's a lot of money. And it's just not something that I need. Maybe if I found like defective drugstore sponges, but like these work well. My foundation looks blended. I used a Cream Cheek product, like it looks blended. I don't have issues with my drugstore sponges, so I'm not running out to replace them. Once again, kind of like in the same vein as that Laura Mercier powder, the Beauty Blender was like the first sponge to hit the market and definitely changed the makeup game. Like, credit where credit's due. But of course, when you come out with like an innovative product, like a sponge to apply your makeup, other brands are also going to come out with products. And some of them are more affordable, and that's just what I gravitate towards. A product that I haven't tried is from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it's the Brow Wiz, the Dip Brow Gel, and the Brow Definer. In fact, the only brow product I've tried from them is their Clear Brow Gel, which is definitely Holy Grail status. And this is probably because I only started doing my brows a year ago, which is definitely a shock. But if you watch some of my videos where I'm applying my makeup, I have naturally full brows that I don't fill my brows in on a daily basis. And I think because of that, I never really felt the need to buy brow products because I could just walk out with my brows, and I was very blessed to do so. So therefore, especially the dip brow, I would have had the blockiest brows in the world. Like, I can already attest to that. Like, even now that I'm more somewhat skilled, my brows would have never looked good and they wouldn't have worked for me. And then when I finally decided I wanted to get into brows, I wasn't going to start practicing with an expensive brow product. I'd start something affordable and then then graduate to something expensive. I feel like in general, when it comes to makeup, if there's like a technique you want to try it with a drugstore product first and like master that technique before you spend $20 on a pencil and then not even end up using it. And that makes sense to me. So I started out with the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Ash Brown. And I went to Ulta and I talked to this really nice associate, and I was like, hey, like I want to get into my brows. What do I use? And she gave me a NYX pomade, which was terrible. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick up a pencil just in case. And that's what I've been using ever since. It's what I have in my brows today. It's what I have in my brows every time I get it on camera. And because an $8 pencil works so well for me, I don't feel the need to venture over to the high-end stuff. A bronzer that I've never tried that everybody else has tried is the Hoola bronzer. And I think the reason I didn't try this for such a long time, or forever, is because the shade range. The Hoola only recently expanded to Hoola Light and then Hoola Caramel and the other Hoola for this year, which the name's slipping my mind. But the OG Hoola would have never worked for me. It looked orangey on people that had a darker skin tone than me. And I know because I'm so fair, like it would have looked like I'm applying literal mud on my cheeks. And I was like very conscious of that. Like bronzer took me a while to ease into because I was very like self-conscious that it would look unnatural because I don't tan. So I thought that like putting a strip of like orangey brown powder would just look weird. But obviously I love bronzer now. You can look at my project pan. I panned a bronzer and finished up an entire bronzer, and I just hauled a new bronzer. I love bronzer, but I am well aware that Hoola would have never worked for me. Hoola Light probably would have because it was a lighter version and it worked on Nikki Tutorials, and her and I like have a very similar skin tone. So a lot of complexion products that work for her will work for me. But I have so many bronzers that I love. Bronzer is one of those products that I go through relatively quickly in my collection. I hit pan on the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and I finished up the number 7 bronzer. And right now I've been really loving on the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer. So Hoola just wouldn't have worked for me at the time. I think if they came out with Hoola Light at the same time that Hoola was having its hype, I would have tried it. But because it took so long for Hoola Light to come out, I already found bronzers that would work for my skin tone in that time period. Another product that I haven't tried are the Urban Decay Naked Palettes. I've talked about this before in a video, but the Naked Palettes were the thing to have when I was like younger. So when I was like in high school, in my early days of college, like you lusted after the Naked Palettes. I remember that I went down the shore with my friends. So to my friends and I drove down to the beach and met our friend there who had a beach house. So we went to the shore and laid on the sand, and then we all took showers and we're gonna go out on the boardwalk. So after our showers, we're all getting ready together, and the one girl had the Naked, I believe it was the Naked 1 palette. And me and my friend Courtney like looked at each other and we looked at the palette. We're like, oh, can we use it? Like we thought it was the best pigmentation, like the best quality. Like I wanted one so badly, but it was $54 and I wasn't working and my parents were not about to buy me a $54 eyeshadow palette. But I've never wanted anything as wanted that Naked palette at that time. And then my friend got the Naked 3 palette for her birthday, and I was like, it's like the rose gold, like it's so romantic, it's so versatile, it's so pretty, it's so feminine, and I would always borrow it from her whenever we went out. But then I started getting into eyeshadow palettes of my own, and the first high-end palette I ever bought was the Modern Renaissance, which thank God that was the palette I bought because that set the quality for eyeshadows for me. It's my most used palette to this day, and like the palette that I cannot live without. So that's the one where I was like, oh, this is a great formula. And then I would use that and I would try my friend's Naked 3 and I'd be like, why aren't these shimmers as like pigmented or long lasting? These mattes were hard to build up. So I learned quickly that like the Anastasia formula was something that I grew to appreciate and really liked working with. And the old Urban Decay Naked formula was good for its time, but makeup has just evolved so much over the years. So I never ended up buying a Naked palette. I did kind of want the Naked Heat, but I also felt like because I had the Modern Renaissance, I can get a lot of those warm toned eyes. And I know I've heard that it's like the Naked Heat, the Naked Cherry, the Naked Honey, the formula has improved, but I still don't feel like the Naked color scheme is innovative enough for me to justify buying one. And the last product that I have on my list is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Powder. And number one, the reason I'm not buying this is because I'm not spending Charlotte Tilbury prices on a setting powder. Like I mentioned before, I have super dry skin, so I don't powder my face often. If I do, I'll powder just under my eyes, and I'm not paying a Charlotte Tilbury price powder just to put it under my eyes. And that's pretty much it. A lot of the makeup that I have is more on the affordable side. I was planning on doing a video about brands that I've tried for the first time in 2019, and a lot of them are more luxury brands. It's the first time that I tried Hourglass, the first time that I tried Natasha Denona. These more expensive brands because I work like a 9-to-5 job. Like I don't have that much of a disposable income to just spend on makeup. So I'd rather make purchases that make more sense for my lifestyle and my economic stature than buying, you know, a $60-something powder that I would never get use out of. And obviously, like if you buy the Charlotte Tilbury powder, I'm not saying that you're like making bad economic purchases or anything like that. People just choose or spend their money in a different way, and what works for someone might not work for someone else. But those are all the cult favorite products that I haven't tried. Let me know if you've tried any of these products and it's worth trying out, and let me know which cult products you haven't tried. If you like this video, I hope you'll consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I post a new video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and I'd love if you come join me next time. But that's gonna wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching.